Good morning. Can everybody hear me? It's my job to make the first welcome of the day. You're going to have several welcomes, but it's my job to start the ball rolling this morning. We don't have a lot of time. We have a lot to get through, a lot of information to get across to you. So I've been asked to give a very brief introduction to the project, to explain why we did it, I suppose. That's a very short question, very long answer. But I'll give you a few points. Can I just ask you, first of all, if you have telephones, could you put them on vibrate or turn them off so we just have some respect for the speakers today? In terms of timing, we have 30 minutes usually for each technical presenter, and that'll be 30 minutes presentation time, with only maybe one question or two just for clarification. I'd like you to save your questions to the end. We have a discussion and summary session at 3 o'clock. And I'd like to cover all the questions then, please, if we can. Okay, so let's get started, if you're okay with that. I should have perhaps said I'm Dave Pinchbeck. I'm the Secretary-General of GERG, the European Gas Research Group based in Brussels. This, in fact, naturally is in fact a GERG project. So what's the point? Why did we actually do this? Why did we start the project all those years ago? I mean, the project started in '94. It was in the development phase for at least 2 years before that, I think. And it seems like a very long time, I have to say. And I'm sure you all know that hydrogen is regarded by many as a very important future energy carrier, because it can contribute, or it could contribute, to security of supply, and definitely a reduction in CO2 emissions if we get the source of the hydrogen right. There was, of course, a big drive for the hydrogen economy. This was a very large, mainly politically driven R&D effort from the European Parliament, in fact, back in the early 90s, to try and enable the widespread introduction of hydrogen, certainly in terms of production, preferably from renewable sources, and for end use. But it was clear that there wasn't much thought given at all at that time to large-scale distribution, which would be essential if we were going to have a genuine hydrogen economy in maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now. There were some questions as to why the gas industry might be interested in this at all. But the industry did see that there was a potential for greening natural gas, and by which I mean decarbonising methane, and maybe a longer-term business opportunity, but that wasn't clear at the time. The big problem for us was that, of course, the existing natural gas network was designed for natural gas and nothing else, and was probably not suitable for the transportation of hydrogen. There was a big concern about that. Excuse me. So the plan for the project was to try and see whether we could add hydrogen to the natural gas system across Europe, not just locally, but across the whole of Europe, without what we call unacceptable consequences. And I won't go into that right now, because you'll hear what we mean by unacceptable consequences during the day's presentations. But clearly it's to do with safety, leakage, and a whole range of other things. Another specific objective of the project was to try and develop technologies that would let us selectively withdraw hydrogen from the mixture if we did get it into the gas network, for use in fuel cells maybe further down the line, and other similar specific hydrogen, pure hydrogen uses. And there was also a desire, or a need, I suppose, to conduct a very rigorous life cycle analysis and a socioeconomic analysis of the NaturalHy approach to decide whether it really was worthwhile. Would there be any real benefit? It was assumed there would be a benefit, but whether there would be was not really proven. Okay, so today's programme, I'm just going to whistle through this very quickly. You all have seen, I hope, a copy of the programme by now. We have a lot of presentations. Some initial ones are short, but then several 30-minute presentations. We start with a welcome from Rob de Wolf, who's the Senior Manager for Strategy here at KEMA. Secondly, a second welcome by Carlos Saraiva-Martins, who is our Project Officer from the European Commission. It's very nice to see him here today. And then we have an interesting view on the project, I hope, a politician's view of the project, from Gordon Adam, MEP retired, former MEP in the European Parliament. Gordon's been a member of the project strategic advisory committee for the whole of the project, and has given us a lot of useful advice and information, and has provided a link with the European Parliament through the whole of that period, including helping us set up a presentation in the Parliament earlier this year. Then we have a presentation on life cycle analysis. As I said, a very key point as to why we're doing all this and why it really is worthwhile, or whether it isn't worthwhile. And then risk, and this is probably the major concern for most people. Does hydrogen actually increase risk? Barbara Lowe-Smith from Loughborough University will talk to us about that. Then, to what extent can existing pipelines accommodate hydrogen? Can we actually get them in? Will the pipeline materials survive? Looking at the durability of the system, a presentation from Isabel Aliar from GDF Suez. And following on from that, and very closely associated with it, is some work on the pipeline integrity, looking at what possible damage or what possible effect hydrogen can have on the pipeline materials, and what can we do to make sure that those pipelines could survive, from Geert Muller-Syring, from DBI Gut in Germany. And then looking at end use. End use is a big aspect of the project, of course, although we didn't do a great deal of work in end use. From Costa Commodormus from Oxford University, looking at how we could burn methane and hydrogen mixtures together, and how much hydrogen we could include in that. And in fact, the part on gas quality in that presentation will be by Harmen de Vries from a gas unie here in the Netherlands. It's a very interesting topic, looking at gas quality and also how we can maybe separate hydrogen out of the system using membrane technologies. And then finally, and this is what the only real deliverable from the project, I mean deliverable, as some of you can actually get your hands on rather than some of you can just read, is the DST, the Decision Support Tool. And Peter Bartlam, who I've lost, Peter, is going to talk about the DST, and we'll get chance after the discussion session to have a hands-on or a demonstration of that. I'm not sure we'll be allowed hands-on, but certainly there'll be a demonstration of that, and that should be very interesting for all of us, in fact. Okay, so that's the end of my brief introduction. I hope you're ready to go. As I said before, please try and keep your questions to the end, unless it's something specifically on clarification of a particular point during a presentation. Okay? Thank you. Rob Wolf, please, to make the next presentation, or to give us a welcome here today. Thanks, Rob.